Matrix reports. Okay, this is a big one because a lot of this is really game changing. The matrix reports, or a lot of people call them like management reports, or you may have even, if you're coming from the Excel world, like a crosstab report, or again, if you're not familiar with crosstab, a little bit like pivot tables, not entirely, but a little bit like that. These are those reports that you're using for analysis. And so this is where Popdock starts turning a corner, where it gives you some more flexibility and power to do these analysis type reports. So I want to show you an example of a couple of these. If I go inside of my connector here, and actually I don't even want that one. I'm going to show you two examples here. All right, Skippy's trying to get some information from Business Central. It's taking a little bit longer right now. Okay, there we go. So if we look at this, this is a very interesting report. It's different than the normal type stuff, and I'll take you behind the scenes in just a second. But what we have here is a list that has a couple of our inventory items, right? So 4 items that we've sold, and it has a couple of interesting columns, right? We have month-to-date sales. So this is something that is grabbing everything for the current month, you know, which up to the 25th today, I guess. And then it also has a comparison to where we were at in that month last year. And so what this is doing is it's kind of an aggregate. It's rolling everything up by item. So we get a line item for each item, but then it's rolling up all of the sales into these columns. It also has a variance. And then again, we threw in, just for good measure, we threw some color coding in there so that we can have a quick visual going, okay, we're up on everything but the broken rim, right? Apparently we're down just a little bit on that product. So I think how it starts changing the game is that for many people, they can have an at a glance look at some of these reports. And I'll give you some more examples in a second of how you might start using these types of reports. And we're working on a really large library, if you will, that you'll be able to start with these reports and customize them the way that you want. But I think, again, the way things are going, being able to do analysis or analyze where this data is coming from is very powerful. Okay, so let me show you one more example of a report here, and then I'm going to take you behind the scenes of just a little bit looking at what it actually looks like. Okay, so this is a slightly different report. Instead of by inventory item, this is looking at sales by customer. And so we're going to have a few more records, right? The lines are going to be each customer instead of each inventory item, but then we're going to start seeing some different data. So what we have here, right? These are all customers, each list. So we have 61 customers that have bought something this year. And then what we're seeing over here is we have a breakdown. It's automatically breaking it down by the month where something was purchased. So you can see, again, we're into May. We have a few transactions here, but we don't have any, well, okay, apparently something's been purchased in September already. But what you're seeing is, again, without having to do a whole lot of calculated fields and things like that, we have an automatic way to summarize all the data and put it in the right buckets. Here's the exact same report. Instead of monthly, it's quarterly, right? So I have some additional fields on here that when I click on this, I'm now going to get exactly what I want in a quarterly basis as opposed to month. So here we go, Q1, Q2, Q3, and there's our numbers on this. So you can start doing some very interesting things. One of the things I've seen really common is, again, by customer, going, okay, how are we doing in this particular inventory category, right? They're Last year they bought $100,000 from us. Now they've only bought 50,000 this year. What is the trend? Can I maybe look at something and again, maybe get somebody to call them and ask why the sales are down? Are they using another supplier or something like that, right? So we're trying to give people the access to that information without necessarily needing to, um, I guess, maybe even log into another system, but like maybe it's embedded right inside of the ERP system, or maybe it's inside of a CRM, right? Maybe it's a salesperson that's just looking for trends and going, hey, I'm making a call today because I see some things are down or things are way up and I want to talk to the customer and thank them. Okay, I'm going to do one thing here. Let's go look at the guts of this, because I think this is where a lot of the power comes from. Again, it's a little bit different than standard reports because you're now defining a couple of things. You're defining the columns that you're going to see. So in this case, right, I have all my months broken out, and then I have a filter that's applied so that it falls into the right bucket so that I see everything in that particular year. I also have a total, right, summary total in here. And then again, I broke it down by quarters instead of by months. And again, I had two different favorites that I was showing you there. But you can see it's pretty easy to set this up, and it gives you a lot of flexibility on how you want to display this type of information. Now here's the row portion, right? The only thing we have in the row is we're saying, I want this by customer. I'm actually going to I'm going to change so it doesn't just have the customer number. I want the customer number and the name. So that's why we saw both of those in one. And then we also, I didn't show this before, but we did this by salesperson because you might want to break this report down by salesperson. So anyway, these types of reports I think are incredibly powerful in really that next level of analyzing things. And while we love to export stuff to Excel, I think a lot of this kind of time-consuming type things that you're trying to get the data summarized and stuff like that, we can do now right inside of here and give you that analysis.